could hear. Now I heard that as well.
Happy Sunday, boys and girls. Gate 7 International is back post-derby. AEK versus Olympiacos in the Agia Sofia. A lovely draw, and we're going to get into all of the post-match nitty-gritty action. Costa and Costa, how are you boys doing today?
Well, I'm good.
It's been a while, Costa and Costa, isn't it?
It has been a while. Welcome and hello from beautiful Cornwall, where I'm at right now from my hotel room. I do apologize in advance for any weird Cornish internet during the show.
Well, boys and girls, there you have it. Costa is he's been transplanted, as it were. He's hanging out somewhere out there in the good old UK. So, boys, if you haven't done it already, quite a few of you have already checked in, but I only see a handful of likes on the video. So really quickly, hit that like button, subscribe if you don't already. Continue to follow the channel. There's a lot of good stuff coming. We have Europa League coming up this weekend. I know we're looking to try and get a pre-match going, see if we can get a German journalist or somebody on board. We're going to try and do that with all of the games. And don't forget as well, guys, you can support us on Patreon. We already had the first of one of our Patreon interviews. We had a lovely interview with the former president of Huracan in Argentina, the same club we purchased Santiago SF from. And he was a great guy. It was a great, very informative interview. And we also have another enhanced analysis coming out. So I will be doing the enhanced analysis for all of our expanded tier patrons for this game. So I'll be working on that immediately. And hopefully I can get that recorded for you guys within a few days. And if you want to check out those enhanced analyses, we do analyses, I should say. It's 15-minute by 15-minute breakdown per interval. Very specific statistics, all of that all together. So you can check that out. You can support us on all of those platforms. Now, and of course, one more thing, guys. Don't forget, use our promo code GATE7INTL if you're at betus.com.pa. It gives you a 125% deposit boost. Bet cards are going to be returning as Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League group stage joins us. So, boys, without further ado, post-match. Give me some thoughts. What did you guys think? It was a very interesting game, very slow start for us, but things got a little bit better in the second half, then some questionable subs. So, Costa C, give us yours first.
Okay, so I thought that, at the end of the day, I'll take a draw is my conclusion. At the same time, I see quite a few people that are disappointed with the performance in the first 20 minutes. I think either side could have won it, really, but for me the game kind of ended after the first half. I thought the first half in particular, it was a game that was quite fast tempo for Greek football, something we're not really used to. Agreed, this is an Olympiacos side that's coming back from an international break. We made a lot of signings since the last game that we played. It was our first real test tonight in the league. And, the game went pretty much how I expected it to. And I thought it was also risky going into the game with this formation, the 4-2-3-1. We saw last season that in the playoffs, when we started to get results towards the end, we played with a defensive midfielder, or three in midfield. Now, I think Diego Martinez is going to stick to his principles, remembering that this is a team that's still very much under construction. He repeated that in his post-match conference again today, that AEK is a set team and we're a team that's still under construction, still putting the pieces together, still integrating players. We saw Padense started today's game. So Bakken didn't play. Jovetic got 15, 20 minutes. So all things considered, I think the draw is okay. It's still very early on in the season, and certainly I think both coaches at the end in the second half, they had a mind towards the European game that was coming and thought that this is the type of game that if you can't win it, then don't lose it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on the majority of those points. I do think at least the opening moments of the second half, especially before the Bora sub, I thought there were some great moments where we were pressing, especially the first 15 minutes of the second half. Great moments of the press, some decent ball movement. Once we started making those changes, the first two changes, Podense and Masuras out, maybe not necessarily the Masuras change, but the Podense change, I think had an impact. And then when we took Costa off and brought Ibora, that was, in my eyes at least, I saw a more negative change that signaled to me that we were definitely trying to shore up some things, at least in the midfield. Costa with a K. How did you see the game today? Costa, you're muted, buddy. Never gets old.
Sorry about all the volume issues, guys. I just couldn't bring my microphone with me to this trip. I'm carrying two quite hefty luggages. I'm here for a wedding and spent a lot of money carrying a lot of things. So I apologize in advance. The first 20 minutes remind me a lot of last season's battles with AEK. AEK controlling midfield, having too many bodies in midfield, overwhelming Olympiacos in midfield, getting a quick goal. But I was glad to see how Olympiacos quickly reacted with that goal by Ayoub El Kabi, who scored his fourth goal for Olympiacos in 8 matches. So that's 1 goal in every 2 games. First, very, very glad to see Daniel Podense getting his first assist since returning to Olympiacos on his debut. I am gutted, but not pissed or disappointed because AEK needed those 3 points more than Olympiacos did. AEK haven't won a single home match this season across all competitions. They've lost 1 and they've drawn another 3, if I'm not mistaken. So Agia Sofia is barely a fortress anymore this season. If anything, AEK have a lot more to answer for after failing to win another home match, especially when their purpose is to defend their title and retain the title this season. Olympiacos are still undefeated since April. They haven't lost a single game this season. Obviously, Olympiacos is becoming a little of a cliche with Olympiacos this season, but it is true that they're not ready yet. We just saw Podense having his debut. Jovetic had his debut for only 15 minutes. Francisco Ortega barely saw any action. Solbakken hasn't played yet. We also have Julian Bianconet, who wasn't even on the team. Olympiacos are not ready yet. All in all, I am satisfied with the point. I mean, Costa said it very well. If you can't win this match, then don't lose it. And I have to say, I disagree. I don't think Lazaros would fare much better than all the subs Olympiacos made, but I'm sure he would leave his heart out on the pitch.
Yeah.
I was looking for laughs on this one, but I obviously failed.
There's a lot of different comments about a lot of different things. Why don't we touch on this first and foremost? Early on, the first well, actually, let's start with this because somebody said, and I saw the comment, and now I lost it. A question about maybe we underestimated AEK, and we pointed out a lot on social media actually that although Ike are struggling in the final third, the end product aspect of things, that they're not a joke of a team. Costa
Mm-mm.
with a K, you brought up that look, the European exhaustion, the European, we'll say, lack of experience of managing Europe is going to affect them. And I think in a way that is very true, not just with injuries, but the managing of that. You mentioned that that was going to come back to haunt them, and but all that taken into consideration, they are still a dangerous team that can get the ball forward in the final third quite efficiently, I might add. They can stack the midfield, overpower a midfield, and they can create opportunities. The problem has been they can't really finish a lot of those opportunities. And in the first 20, 30 minutes today, we saw a lot of the same thing. We pointed out on social media, we talked a lot about how Ike plays in possession. They keep two pivots in transition in front of the defense, whereas we usually stick with one. That is an aspect that used to overwhelm us a lot last year. They would have a diamond in the midfield, just completely overload us. And for the first 20, 25 minutes, it felt like that was the case again until things started to kind of go back our way. How did you guys see that? Did you see more of the same that we kind of saw last season when they played against us, at least in that first 20, 30 minutes? Them kind of overloading, getting the ball through us, cutting through us pretty quickly? Or was it a little bit different? We saw, especially on Keeney's side, a lot of overloads on that side. Keeney kind of getting overwhelmed, not just by the winger over there. Rota went by him once or twice. So we'll start with Costa K this time. How did you see that first opening 20, 30 minutes when it was very difficult to maintain the ball and it really felt like they were putting all of the pressure on us?
Like I said, the first 20 minutes remind me of last season's battles with Ike, where Ike would overwhelm Olympiacos in midfield with all those bodies in there. And you'd see Juan Ginbom and Jan Villa struggling to understand where to even start with that diamond formation. Keeney had a very difficult start. Um, I have to mention that. I don't know if you guys remember, but Lazaros Rota picked up a yellow card during the
Yeah.
match. And I don't see why he wasn't booked for that incident with the penalty because he was obviously diving. He dived because there was no contact, and then he acted like he was injured and
Yeah.
banging the grass, trying to get the referee to give that penalty and don't and not checking it with VAR. He was obviously simulating. Costas Fortounis got booked for protesting, but Dorota wasn't booked for simulation. And if he was booked, that would have led probably almost definitely led to a red card down the line. But yeah, Kini didn't have a good start. It really helped though when Diego Martinez brought Podense on Kini's wing. If I'm not mistaken, Podense went on Kini's wing, and that helped create some consistency down that wing. Uh, I don't see why Francisco Ortega didn't start this one, especially after all the struggle Olympiacos went through, all the hassle, all the money, all the debating, all the negotiations, all the back and forth. I don't see why Ortega didn't start this match. But yeah, like I said, I was happy with how Olympiacos reacted to this. Uh, the subs again quite questionable, but some of Olympiacos' most crucial and key players for the season are still not ready, like Solbak and Jovetic and Podense.
Costa C, what were your thoughts on that? Maybe the reasons for that opening 20, 30 minutes of pressure and difficulty getting things moving.
First of all, I think going into the game, it was a big question mark, or one of the big question marks was who was going to start at left back. So
Yeah.
Kini, Ortega. In the end, I think I wasn't surprised at all to see Kinney start the game. I think he deserves the trust he has from the coach. He's earned it from the fan base too. I think most might agree. But yeah, I don't think that Ortega was ready for this game based on what I saw in the last league game. I thought going forward definitely saw things from him in the last game. But defensively against a team like Ajax, I think it would have been difficult. Not that it wasn't for Kinney, because I think Kinney had a difficult time against essentially Eliasson and Rota, and I think clearly Ajax had that in their game plan to overload the right wing and play that side. I mean, that was the whole strategy. The first 20 minutes of the game, they dominated. The ball was going down the right hand side constantly to Eliasson and Rota making the overlaps. So he had a hard time at left back. But again, I just think as well that the fact that this is a new team, that Madi Camara and then Hesse partnership, it's a new partnership. They've played all of 3-4 games together, and both of them, Hesse in particular, in all the games that he's played, it takes him a little while. I think we've noticed that in all the games that we've seen, Hesse needs a little bit of time to get into the game, and it was the same today. Hesse and Camara didn't touch the ball the first 20 minutes. I swear.
No, I think you're right.
They didn't touch the ball. Maybe an aerial duel, but ball on the ground. I mean, okay, we didn't do much with the ball in the first 20 minutes, and it was tough. So as I said at the beginning, I'm not really surprised. I think if anyone's watched Ajax the last beginning of the season, one thing I will say is that normally they've put the pressure on at the end of games because they've been trying to claw back or like grab a winner. Today they did the opposite. They came out the blocks really strong, and I think that they somehow maybe run out of gas a little bit as well. They got the goal and then they took the foot off the pedal. That's not taken away from us either, though. I think that if you play this formation, if you play the way that the coach wants us to play, you have to play with two things. You have to play with intensity and you have to play with aggression. And we did that. After we ate the goal, it's like the players woke up, and I think we dominated that 25 minutes after the goal that we ate, and we could have gone into the half 2-1 up, and that's why there's a bit of that frustration. You thought, we showed after the goal that we equalized, we started to feel confident in possession, and then people are complaining that the subs weren't great. Why did we take Fortounis off? I get it. But it's so early on in the season. Like I'm a little bit disappointed. Yeah, of course. I wanted to win. I think winning today would have been a massive statement for the club, like in terms of what we want to do, and make a statement that we're going to win the league this season. That's what everyone wants. Yeah, we're still hurt from last season, and there is quality on the bench. But they have to find each other. Yeah. They still need time to gel. That's why I said we're not ready. It's easy for us to go and beat the teams that we beat at the beginning of the season and score 3-4 goals, but give it a bit more time. Now,
you kind of brought it up, and the chat's going nuts about some individual performances. Before we touch on some of the individuals, I think this is a conversation worth having, especially since chat's already having it as well. The subs. Now, a lot of people are saying these are poor subs. A lot of people questioning the subs. In your opinion, were the subs bad subs, or was it the fact that maybe Diego Martinez was ready just to take a point from this? Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he himself as a coach, when he saw what he saw, we're going into the 70th minute. He's bringing that Iborra sub on. He's thinking, let's lock this down. Let me get some of these key guys out so I can rest them for Europe. Let's lock this match down. Well, Costa C, we'll start with you this time. So I'm going like reverse order basically every time. But do you think they were bad subs, or do you think his plan was to lock everything down? And if that's the case, do you disagree with that plan?
No, I said it. I think at the beginning. I think both managers, they were looking to lock this game down and say, if we're not going to win this, then let's take the draw. But I mean, let's look at it, take it one by one. So he did a double sub. The first one was a double sub, wasn't it? He took Masouras off. He put Biel on.
Correct.
Which one was the other one?
And then the other one was, oh my goodness.
Does anyone have Sofa Score open? Like,
Yeah, Lord have mercy.
Scarpa came on.
Yeah, well,
Scarpa
Scarpa
and
came
Biel
on for
came on.
Masuras, and then Biel came on for Podense.
This is the thing, right? Like long term this season, he needs to manage a front line behind the striker where there's so much quality. Like let's be honest. Like all those players, Podense, Solbakken, Masuras, Biel, Fortounis. So, I've missed someone. Yeah, there's so much talent in those positions where they all change positions that he's gonna have this issue, but he has to play them. So when you look at it in theory, he's taking off Masuras, bringing on Biel and bringing on Scarpa as well. It was like, well, hang on. So Scarpa and Biel are bad players. Well, actually, Scarpa's performance today, I'm yet to see. I'm yet to see the player that won, best player in Brazil back to back, or like that took Palmeiras to the Libertadores. I'm yet to see that.
Nope.
You see some small flashes here and there, but it's not enough. It's not enough. And then when he brought Iborra on, he was moved out of that central position and he was going out to the left. And then it was like he wasn't on the pitch. It was like he wasn't on the pitch. And same for Biel. Like I appreciated the effort, the closing down. But yeah, essentially when Iborra came on, it was like, okay, lock this down. And if we get something on the counter, cool. If not, no biggie. Like we're leaving probably one of the hardest places to go to in the Greek league, and we're playing Freiburg on Thursday, and we want to win that game. So you rest Fortounis, yeah.
Right.
You rest Podense. You rest Masuras. Those are your key players, really.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Costa K, you're seeing the comments; they're all over the place. So Costa K, what was your take? Were these bad subs, or was it just that we disagreed with the game plan of kind of locking things down? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think especially with that Iborra sub, it did look like Martinez was trying to lock it, and Costa said it brilliantly that with the game you can't win, just make sure you don't lose it. And Olympiacos are dealing with quite the hell week with Freiburg on Thursday, the team that destroyed Olympiacos at Karaiskaki last season. So Olympiacos have a bone to pick with this team, and you want to start really strongly in this very difficult Europa League group. Not too sure if he was trying to rest players though for Freiburg. Like I said, I think he was just trying to lock that important point. Uh, it is this game was also stood out for me because this is the first league match in which Martinez starts Panayotis Retsos with Freire at center back rather than Retsos with Doi, who enjoyed 3 clean sheets every time they played together in the league, and looked like he was doing a bit of those two in the league, Freire and Retsos in Europe. So I don't know if he's thinking, I want Freire and Retsos for the big games, and Doi with Retsos for the less big games. But it's interesting to point that out. I mean, the first time he changes the center back pairing in the league, and this is the first time Olympiacos concede in the league.
Well, so with that being said, maybe we kind of talk about one of the first individual performances. You kind of lead into it there. And there's a lot of talk with the chat, especially once we got the live going, about our center back, Freire. Now, I've said it a few times personally. I know it's early on, but I haven't exactly been sold on the guy. I know in our group chat, there's always a little bit of concern when he plays. Now, today, I was more concerned with a lot of the mishaps, but on Freire in particular, are we worried about him? Do we think that he's, I've compared him to a mix of Ba and Miranda, and Roderick Miranda in the past, or sorry, not Miranda, sorry, Meria, a mix of Meria and Ba, because You know, he has some ability to play the ball like Media did, but then he makes some of these really goofy mistakes. And he's not horrible in the air. He's not amazing either. Just like he can get caught a little bit far forward as a center back. I don't like that. I said that in the scouting report. There were some inclinations that worried me about him. And the more I watch him play, the more I'm worried. The more I'm not necessarily convinced that this guy is a starting center back next to Retsos. And I'm still worried about that. There's a lot of people in chat that have also been absolutely going in on him since we started. Quite a few comments about Freire, and I can pull them up in a moment. But Costa K, you get started. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts when it comes to Freire.
Yeah, I'm not sold either, and it's obvious that Diego Martinez, Vangelis Marinakis, and Antonio Cordon are not too sold because they brought Julien Bianconet at the end, and I'm not too sure he came in for the cover at fullback, where you have Rodinei and Kini on the right, as well as Omar Richards and Francisco Ortega on the other side. I think it's more of a center back kind of situation because we're also seeing. Oh wow, I'm absolutely blocked. Poroso, we're not seeing
Right,
Poroso getting too many minutes, getting too many opportunities. I don't think Andreas Doy has really won over Diego Martinez either. Parapanos is by far the best center back, but like we said a couple of weeks ago when it was just you and me, Ari, if I remember correctly, if Retsos, who is injury prone, gets injured again, there's going to be issues at center back. So yeah, I'm not sold, and I think that the fact Bianconet came on shows that the higher ups aren't sold either.
Bianconet, he came on today.
Sorry,
I think he meant onto the transfer list.
Oh, you meant on the transfer list. Sorry, I thought you meant as a sub today.
No, transfers. A completely last minute transfer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right. There you go. Now, Costa C.
Freire, however you pronounce his name, Jesus.
Frere. Monfrere.
Look, being at the game against Genk, the home game, I remember he surprised me in a positive manner in terms of how decent he was that night. A few like last ditch challenges and so on and so forth. But there's just, again, one of those things, there's something about him that just doesn't give me confidence. Yeah. I would have liked to get, now I say this, a Semedo type centre back without the Semedo problems to play next to Letos. Yeah.
If only.
Let me just clarify that one. So like a Semedo like level defender, but without the Semedo problems would have been fantastic. That is really a position on the field that worries me. I don't know if Biancon is the guy that's gonna fill it, because I don't feel like we've brought him in to play on the left side of the centre backs. I feel like that's a transfer with a long-term perspective, in a sense that Rodinei is going to be 33 next season, and Biancon can play right back. He's 23.
Yes.
And he can play centre back in a back three.
And he left back. He can play left back too.
Okay. Maybe, I mean, you did the scout report, so you know better than me. But I can't see Retsos moving.
No.
I can't see Retsos moving to left centre back to give Biancon the room. He's a player that hasn't played for a year. The real question, and this might be unpopular, is Freire better than Cisse? That's the real question for me. Like, is he better than Cisse? No, but Cisse, for me, it's no. Sorry.
No, I'm with you. Cisse is also better in the air, and
way better
in the air. And like, okay, maybe you can say that Freire is a little bit better with the ball playing, but Retsos is getting more of the touches of the back two of the pair anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm with you.
It just like like this is a comment. So Labro keeps saying he reminds him of Argentinian Roderick Miranda, and then his outlaw Jorge says Freire is like Botilla da Costa quality wise, not trash, but very very average. So mate, have you seen how long it takes him to turn his body? It's that classic thing in Greek where you say, but honestly, like it takes him so long.
Yeah.
Stefan, thank you so much for your contribution, pal. We really appreciate it. Amazing comment. Too bad Labros is not around for this. He's still reeling from that loss.
Stefano, thank you so much for the donation, buddy. A patron and giving us a donation on the live. So thank you doubly. All of it is going towards great things. We've got some merch coming up that we're excited for. So thank you again. I cut out for a second, so I don't know if you guys read the comment already. Ramon, Yirna piso y eso telefona. Oh my goodness.
Did I cut out as well?
I think I don't know. It might have been something with StreamYard, but I definitely cut out for a second or two.
For God's sake. No, I was just going on that Miranda Papadopoulou joke. Aris Galamati just brought that up as well.
Oh my God.
Do you remember that? Oh my God.
Jeez.
I completely forgot about Miranda. I just remember he had two decent performances against Burnley in the Europa League qualifiers. But after that, I needed to Google him. I needed to Google him back.
Is he playing out in Asia now, like somewhere?
Probably.
I don't have a clue, pal. Like I said, I forgot he existed.
Elios is asking, is Biancon officially here? Officially, no.
Yeah, let's say deep dive is up. Patrons have early access to the deep dives. It's been up for a few days now. So the scouting report's there. Eventually, when he's announced, that will be released for everybody else. Everybody, as soon as that goes live. So when he does get announced, eventually you guys will see that scouting report. So anyway, on to some other individual performances. Now that we've kind of seen that nobody really is confident in Freire. We touched on this. Actually, both Costas touched on this a little bit. The Kini mishaps. And in the deep dive, while I was trying to get everybody to calm down about this guy being old and not being able to play, I also saw him as primarily an alternate. I didn't see this guy starting game in and game out, but he's had some pretty good performances, and then he gets the start on the left today. An understandable start for me, especially given that Ortega hasn't been here that long. Ortega is much more of an offensive wingback, but can get exposed very easily. So it was a more conservative approach. But seeing what you saw today, was this just a bad game for Kini? Or is maybe this what we can expect in derbies? Can he get exposed against more quality wingers, whether we're in Europe, whether we're in against maybe the top 5 teams in Greece? Is Kini maybe not really an option we should be trusting on the left side? Do we have a choice? Do we have enough depth to be able to make that decision? Costas, we'll start with you on this one.
I think Kini will give you what at least I've come to expect from the few games that we've seen him. He'll give you effort, like 200%, and then everything kind of either average or a little bit above average. And maybe that's a knock to him, because there are some parts of his game that are above average, like his technical ability, like that helps him to play left and right back. He's versatile. His mentality is great on the pitch. But we saw against Pansu, for example, when we played Genk, that he'll suffer against the pacey winger. He will suffer, but he won't give up. Like, he will suffer, but he won't give up. And, he will make some good tackles. And he's not, I mean, what are we expecting here?
Right.
I think Rabchuk on his day was like a better, I mean, he had a better body. He was like younger, physical, etc. But I don't want to be too harsh on the guy. The real question is, how quickly is Ortega going to be able to adapt into European football, not just adapt to Olympiacos and adapt to Martinez's way of playing and getting to know his teammates better. He has to adapt to the European game. It's his first time coming to Europe.
Feta, no. Kini is like me in school, suffering but not giving up.
One more thing, jokes aside. Omar Richards is in this squad as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on him. Now, if it's big if Omar Richards can get fit and start getting playing time, my money's on him as the go-to left back in this squad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're
There's a
100%
lot of
right.
quality. There's a lot of quality in there.
Costa K, what are your thoughts on Kini in that situation and how he played today?
My namesake covered a lot of important bases in this. Like I said, I mean, yes, Francisco Ortega is relatively a new signing still, but after all the back and forth with his former team, it's kind of strange to see him not starting in this important game where Kini is an alternate. We said that from the beginning. When I spoke to Panos Kostopoulos from Marca, he told me that this is an alternate. This is not the kind of guy you bring in to start and depend on him. And this kind of needs to stop now. I get that Kini is a trooper. He doesn't give up no matter how much he struggles, but he's not a starter. It's as simple as that. This amour needs to come to an end. Like I said, and I completely agree with Costa. Omar Richards, if he gets going, he could be a revelation at Olympiacos. Somebody said that if El Kabi gets injured, we're screwed. I'm sincerely not giving up on Stefan Jovetic. I really am not giving up. And guys, like seriously, okay, I get the jokes. It's funny, you know. I do hope it's just jokes because Olympiacos have insane depth. I mean,
yeah,
calling De La Bella back because you don't like Omar Richards or Francisco Ortega is at least ridiculous to say that. I hope it's just a joke, but Olympiacos have an insane depth right now. And if Stefan Jovetic gets going, which is in no way unlikely, I guess you saw what he did during the qualifiers, where he provided an assist in his first match, hit the bar in the second, and scored the winner in his second match with Montenegro. If he gets going, he can do crazy things, especially in Greece.
Yeah.
You know, we say first touch doesn't lie. Did you guys notice that there was one touch Jovetic had in the second half? I think it was like a big boot over the top from Paskalakis. And he was playing with his back to Mukudi, who's a big defender. And the ball just drops and it just landed on his foot and the ball was dead. Like in front of him was like, oh. So the quality. So I don't know if anybody else noticed that. Like that touch. That touch he had. Anyway,
no, go ahead.
It's not surprising though for a player that's played in all the top 5 leagues in Europe.
Right.
And okay, there's some serious quality in this guy. We've talked about Jovetic before. Or at least I said my bit as well. So he's not going to play. I don't think he'll be the go-to starter all the time. They'll change a lot, but certainly as Costa says, Costa with a K, serious quality on the bench and depth.
No, you're absolutely right there, especially when the guys get healthy. And then like the Kini situation, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Holebas when Holebas was here in that third season of Pedro Martins. He's brought in the guys here. He's playing his butt off, but he's not necessarily supposed to be the starter. He's fighting hard, and he was starting, but the guys was brought in as to get us through the summer and to be as an alternate. Ortega wasn't ready, so he made it today, but that doesn't take away, what he offers us. We know what the guy's going to give us, and he gives everything when he's on the field. I don't think we can ask much more of that. But that being said, I don't expect him moving forward, especially if Ortega transitions in like I believe he will. I think Ortega will be the day in, day out starter. And then hopefully, I'm really hoping that Omar Richards gets healthy, because like you both said, that guy is just a different sauce, especially if he can get to that like physical shape he was in before transferring to Forest. When he was at Bayern, the guy can do some pretty absurd things. I brought that up in the scouting report. We never would get a player like that without this type of context. Let me put it that way. So anyway, we'll see what happens with that. But we do have some crazy depth in those positions again, if we can get some of these guys healthy. Now, there was a comment that I wanted to chat about, but now I can't find it. While I am finding it, there's one more individual performance that I wanted to chat about. And Costa with a C, you already talked about it, said that he wasn't good enough for you, and he hasn't been good enough for you. Are you worried that we're not getting that Scarpa? I mean, sure, okay, it's still early days, right? You know, we are this was round 4 of the Super League. Haven't even started our group stage game yet. But there's people already writing Scarpa off. I mean, look at the comments so far since we started. Some people are writing him off already. Costa K, are you writing Scarpa off? Or are you worried about this? Like, is this taking a little too long for him to transition? Or do you think we're going to see something? It's too early to tell.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a slow start for Gustavo Scarpa. He's definitely not the kind of guy that was sold to both Olympiacos and Nottingham Forest with that dramatic back and forth. Is he going to Olympiacos? Is he going to Nottingham Forest? He's going to turn Olympiacos into this wild, wild team. I'm definitely not writing him off, though. I mean, what he did in Brazil speaks for itself. His career at Palmeiras in Brazil speaks for itself. I'm just not too sure about the position that they want to play Scarpa, especially if you want to play a 4-2-3-1. A 4-3-3 makes more sense because he's much more versatile midfield. But in a 4-2-3-1, I'm not too sure where you want to play him, especially when you got players like Kostas Fortounis, Daniel Podense, Pepiel, Ola Solbakken, Yorgos Masouras. I'm not too sure how he fits into those plans. I don't know. What do you think, namesake?
I'm worried. I don't really see this player clicking so far. He needs game time, but this is a squad where consistent game time is going to be a little bit hard to find. I feel it is early days, but looking at the positions on the field, and knowing that Solbakken, who is also a loan player, he's also on loan with an option, and he plays closer to the line. I feel like Solbakken is ahead in the pecking order eventually. He's got size as well, something that the Spaniards, our coach, appreciates. So I find it hard to believe that Scarpa's going to get that consistent time that he needs to find his form. That's what I'm worried about. There's no doubting the guy's got quality. I can't see him discovering that at Olympiacos. And I hope that I'm wrong. And I hope that people come back to this video and say, you know, Costa, you're full of shit. but to me, here we go. To me, Scarpa feels more like it was like a safety net for if Fortounis went off to Saudi. It was like, let's bring in a number 10 just in case something happens. And then we have, we bought in Scarpa. But it feels like a luxury that we don't know what to do with it or how to get the best out of him so far.
This is a great comment from Gerasimos Official. The Fortounis effect. No one can touch him, including James. Anytime someone has been brought in to replace him, quote unquote, Costa ups his game. He was a class above everyone on the pitch today. And then further on that, Johnny Zabukas, our good friend, one thing that was clear to see was the chemistry between Podense and Fortounis will be a great combo this year. And there was some great combinations between those two and Rodinei.
Well, what happened in the first goal? It all goes down to Fortounis, first of all, because of those two successful dribbles that he
Yep.
put together before finding Rodinei, who then found Podense, who then delivered that cross to El Kabi. I gotta say, Yoros Masouras really worried me there because he almost cost Olympiacos that goal. If it wasn't for a few inches that showed that Vida was covering both of them, because if Masouras was offside, I think that goal would have been disallowed.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were a bit lucky there.
And yeah, definitely in a way. But I think there's always been discussions among fans on our social media and all over the place about Costa doing well against. I mean, this even happens in some of our group chats as well. Costa being a player that can, break the deadlock against some of these teams that park the bus, but against the more competitive teams, the top 5 teams in Greece, he doesn't do enough, or he doesn't do enough in Europe. Now, Ike is one team he always seems to do something against, and today was no different. He had, besides what led to the goal, he had at least, and I'll confirm this with Y-Scout tomorrow, what I would consider to be at least 3 key passes today. So he had some great volume into the box. At least I counted at least 7 or 8 crosses that went into the box as well. So much service that was going in there. Gerasimos, buddy, you are going to start something that's going to just take us for another hour.
I vented last week. Last week or 2 weeks ago. I go back and watch our amazing episodes with Gate International, some exclusive content in there as well. I think you and me, Ari, we discussed that 2 weeks ago.
We did.
Just go back and watch those episodes, guys.
Yep.
If anyone wants to know what we think about this ridiculous situation.
Can I like take another view on this?
Go ahead.
I'm going to say thank you to Epo and Gustavo Poyet. Thank you. Now that he's not playing in the national team, he can focus on club, and that's it. Doesn't have to go on trips and get tired. So, I'm going to say a big thank you to Epo for fucking that up royally for the national team.
Yep.
And, we're the ones that benefit. That his running at people today, like his physicality, relative to Fortounis, who a lot of people, criticize him being soft, getting pushed off the ball against stronger or more physical opponents. Didn't see that today.
No. Oh, he's not a captain. He's not vocal. He doesn't, get into his teammates. Not what I saw today. He had no problem screaming at the ref, getting in people's faces. So I love it. So you know what? Maybe that should be our new thing. Thank you, Poyet. Oh, yeah, this is a great question.
This is a good one.
Like
yeah.
this. You can read it out, Costa, since you pulled it up.
Yeah, so Aris Galamati says, folks, can we get back to basics? What are we expecting from the 3 behind the striker, attacking midfielder and 2 inside forwards? Obviously, no wingers or even 2 second strikers and the third aid mid. Okay, who wants to take that first?
Well, I will tell you what we have seen so far and the patterns that we have seen. Now, we don't really, as you guys know, even under Diego Martinez with the business that's been done, we don't exactly have a lot of out-and-out wingers, right? The goal of what this team is, we'll say the tactical approach of this team is very clearly to utilize overlapping wing backs to give you your width, and both of your wingers are making inside runs. I don't necessarily know if that's how Diego Martinez wanted to approach things, but as I told you guys in the tactical analysis we did of Diego Martinez, and Costa said it, the exact quote, give me oranges and I'll make orangeade. Is that that's what he said in that opener?
Give me lemons and I'll make lemonade.
Yeah, exactly.
Orangeade, I love it.
I thought it was that one. Anyway, whatever. That's the type of coach he is. I don't know if necessarily this is how he wanted to play, but he saw the talent that we had at our disposal. We brought the players we brought in. And I think it was easier to get an overlapping wingback or a set of overlapping wingbacks to provide our width and play that way, and then use the wingers that we have as inside forwards, because we have so many 10s on this team and not really a lot of natural wingers. that's not necessarily a weird thing. A lot of modern football is moving this direction. So we'll see how this pans out when Ortega gets transition. But I will tell you guys this. I don't know if you guys paid attention to some of the graphics that we put out, but already, now again, it was against maybe not as great competition when compared to all of last season. But early on, we did see improvements already in our left-sided threat generation, both in terms of the number of attacks per match and in terms of the overall threat level, or XG. XG per shot is increasing in open play. That's already a clear thing. I'm curious to see what it's going to be against Ike when the stats populate. I'll go into all of that with you guys, and I'll put the data out there when, of course, it goes live. But our general approach tactically is to get the width from our fullbacks. Rodinei does it and has been doing it for us all season. The left side, the idea will be that Ortega will be the left-sided Rodinei. And the nature of those two guys creating that width will give more space to guys like Masouras and BL when they are making those inside runs. Because you are seeing our wingers are sitting inside. They switch. We switch them constantly. They're not stagnant. And there's a lot of movement and a lot of changes in that middle, but so much of what we do goes up the middle. The majority of our movement goes up the middle. Our most threatening generation goes up the middle. That's right now the tactical approach. Whether that's how he wanted to do it or what he's decided that's just what needs to be done, and the game plan moving forward from that. And that's important to think about, because that then explains the pieces we brought in the midfield. Ibora, Esse, having a guy that's going to sit in front of the defense and cover for the fullbacks when they are making these overlapping runs. Are you guys noticing Hesse's position when our fullbacks are making their overlapping runs? Are you noticing where he is? He never gets super far forward. He's always covering the spaces left behind. That is what his job is. And that's also what Ibora's job has been since joining this team. So
Moranzina.
You're getting shit for that comment earlier, Ari.
These people.
It was pretty good. Give me oranges, I'll make Orangina.
What do you guys make of that question? What is your answer to that question regarding the tactics and how you believe the philosophy is moving forward?
Well, he is playing. The thing is, though, he is playing with wingers in the sense that he did bring on Potense and Masouras, and I think that this might be the first time this season that Diego Martinez plays with more than one winger in the team. Is it just me?
What do you mean?
Is it
Depends if you define Masouras as winger.
That's
a winger. He is a winger, though.
Not
so is Potense pretty much.
Not
He's
really.
Not a striker. He's not a striker, Masouras.
Masouras
I know he plays him as a striker, almost as a striker next to El Kabi, but he is a winger.
Masouras is a forward that plays wide. Like, he doesn't have the characteristics even of a modern winger today. He doesn't have them. That's like the thing. That's why I don't classify him as a winger. Like,
shadow striker.
Second striker.
I think you had, that's what you had classified him really as last season. And that I think is a better definition of what he is, because look at our build-up characteristics, right? Have you ever seen I've done some of those build-up charts that you guys have seen, or average position when we have the ball. And Masouras is never one of those pieces that's like involved in even in getting the ball forward. He is an outlet. Like, if we are defining the pieces on our board as we'll say the contributors versus the receivers, he's very much a receiver, right? He's not involved in the buildup and the distribution, getting the ball and moving it out. He is the guy that's creating the outlet for the distributors to get the ball to him. The guys that are actually moving and progressing the ball forward, the Madis, the Fortounis, they're the ones that they release the ball, they distribute the ball forward. You need guys like Masouras that can make these runs, because they're the ones creating the outlets and the inroads for that. So it's that's the scenario with him. But Masuras, that's why I don't think he's a winger, because Masuras can't take players on one-on-one. Masuras is he's just, his value is that running behind the defenders and scoring goals. When he's not doing that, he offers you no value. That's just the truth of it. I don't mean that to be mean to him, but he's like, look, compare Masuras to that kid Ike had playing out on the left. Zini, what was his name?
Zini.
Like Zini was out there. Zini can dribble. He can dribble. He can kind of do something. Can Masuras do any of that?
Not really.
No. Just make runs. That's a winger for me. Zini's a winger. That's a talented kid that is gonna, I think, do some fun thing. He was fun to watch. Even as a fan of the opposing team, he was still fun for me to watch. Masuras is not fun to watch. Not that means really anything, but like that's the point I'm getting.
He's still Olympiacos' top scorer this season, isn't he? Or did El Cambi the draw with him today? 4 goals for El Cambi right now. How much is Masuras on? It's definitely on 4. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's product, though. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't seen much from Zini, but it's one thing to dribble or to be able to dribble past 20 people inside a phone booth, and it's completely different when you create goals or you score goals. So, I mean, as I said, I haven't really seen much of Zini. I'm not sure he's even a starter for Ike. And Matias Almeida, well, yeah, he's not Pep Guardiola or Sir Alex Ferguson, but he knows his stuff. So why doesn't he start?
You mean why doesn't Zini start?
Yeah, what is it? Yeah, no, that's what I mean though. It's all about end product though. At the end of the day, like for example, Kazim Richards. I mean, he was quite entertaining on the ball when he was at Olympiacos. I remember his runs and his dribbling, but he just wasn't good enough.
Don't talk about Kazim Richards.
I completely the Coca-Cola kid.
Kazim.
Oh my god!
He actually came up on a show. Wow.
Jesus.
On a show? Which show?
No, this one. He came up on the show tonight. So let's try and get him for an interview.
That's a good idea. What a blast.
That's what you mean. Oh, I thought you meant you invited him for an interview in the past. The way you said it. Sorry, guys. It's been a very long few days.
No.
Big wedding.
No, but the thing with Masuras is like there's a reason coaches keep picking him, right? He does. Masuras always on this team, season after season. He has some of the highest volume of ball touches when he's in the penalty area, balls received when in the penalty area. And there's a reason for that. He gets open. He's an outlet. Coaches are playing him one way or another because in training they are seeing that this is a guy that's consistently be an outlet for people to receive the ball to. That's it.
You're getting it.
I see
mugged,
that,
man.
Johnny.
You're getting mugged, dude. You're getting mugged.
I agree with his Manos comment, though. I would have liked to see that at least.
That's one of the disappointments of the summer transfer window for me.
Yeah.
That he had to pay the price for bringing in Podence.
That's the unfortunate part.
So Mano says, I think a super sub like Brinic would be good today, or something like Radzelovic of the past, he would make an impact. So the only one apart from Podence is Brinic or maybe Solbakken. Yeah, man, I think he caught the the short end of the stick, honestly, because the games that we'd seen him come on for little cameos, albeit against like minor opponents relatively, we know that the guy he's not afraid to run with the ball or like get into space, attack defenders. Certainly didn't see that from Scarpa today.
Yeah.
Or Biel. But okay, like he's a young kid. He signed a 4-year deal, I think. So, we've got to be careful with him. But on that question, like more broadly about the 3 behind the forward, I think that there are 2 ways of looking at it. There's one way where like you're a fan and you look at the players and you think, Solbakken, Podence, and Fortounis are the best 3. Like, let's play with them, and Fortounis at the 10, and Solbakken on the right, and Podence on the left, and inside forwards, and then your wing backs. And that's the fans' way of looking at it. Majority, maybe. And then the other way of looking at it is the coach's way of looking at it. Right. So what we've seen from the coach is basically this tendency to play 3 players that rotate their positions throughout the game, every single game. every single game that we've played this season, you're watching, whether you're watching from the stadium and you're looking at the formation and you're looking at what's going on the pitch, or whether you're watching from TV, you're thinking, hang on, he's playing on the right now. Now the other, they're switching all the time. But one thing we certainly do understand from Martinez is that he sees Masouras in that role further up top as a second striker, getting into the box, getting touches in the penalty area where he's dangerous. That's where Masouras is dangerous, on the far post, just arriving late for one touch finish, something like that. We know he's good at that.
Right.
And then, you think Biel, if it's not Masouras, it will be Biel. Or could it be Solbakken? I don't know. It's such a riddle.
Yeah.
That thing behind the striker.
Yeah.
I got a question. Do you see this coach playing with a defensive midfielder, like with 3 in midfield, like ever, like to start a game? Because we haven't yet, have we?
Not
He's
for
never started
us.
a fourth
He hasn't done
midfield.
it for us. He used to do it in Spain. He had no problem in Spain doing it.
In that situation, the reason I bring that up, because in that situation, you really do have to have some wingers on the pitch.
Exactly.
Because otherwise, you're like this.
No, you're
You
100%
need
right.
to stretch you can't. You need to stretch the field.
Yep.
If you play packed in midfield and you play with wingers that are, playing inside all the time, that's going to be frustrating. That's what we saw today in the second half when Iborra came on. There's nobody waiting on the byline to try and stretch the defense, create spaces for El Kabi or the more central players to get in behind. It just didn't happen. That's something to think about in a more difficult game away from home in Europe. Surely we're going to see Iborra.
Yeah. Of course, in a game like today, absolutely. That didn't surprise me at all.
There's so many question marks, right? There's so many question marks. It's like, is he going to play Hesse as a 6 and play Alexandropoulos and Madi?
Yeah.
In a 3-man midfield? Hang on. Did we see a bit of that against Genk? There was at least the Iborra Madi Alexandropoulos away against Genk.
Yeah.
But then, like, Alexandropoulos was pressing as a left winger at some point. I remember. Enjoy the versatility. Enjoy it, guys.
Well, and that's something that Martinez, we talked about from the get-go. He loves having versatile players because he's going to approach different games differently. So don't be surprised sometimes if maybe the patterns are a little bit more difficult. Guys, and we're an hour in here, so a couple hundred of you have already passed through. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also support us on Patreon as well. We do have a new patron as we are recording. So quick shout out to Alexander Makriyanis, our newest patron. Thank you so much. And thank you for all of our patrons for all of their support, and all of you as well that are tuning in to check in with us now. Costa K, give us your remarks on the tactics, the question that was brought up by Aris Galamatis, and then we can move on to man of the match. But
which question?
We've been kind of going on a little bit of a tangent, but the original question that Aris Galamatis had asked was on tactics. I'm worried that we have too many players filling the inside forward role or fitting advanced playmakers to that role on the wing. What is the role of our the front three, he had asked, behind the striker?
It's like I said. I said it a couple of weeks ago when we were on the show together. It's great that you brought players like Podense, like Solbakken, like Gustavo Scarpa, like Jovetic, like El Kabi. A lot of depth, a lot of versatility. But how do you fit them all in that attack alongside Masouras and Pep Biel? I also think Olympiacos need to start opening up on the pitch wide because, like you said, it's too central. It's too centralized, and I feel like the best managers, especially in Europe, and when I mean best manager, I don't mean the most famous ones. I mean the best managers, the best quality will manage to figure that out quite easily. And and drown Olympiacos in Europe, because all they're going to say is those guys don't never open up in the wings. So all you got to do is just choke them in the middle, and you should be okay. So I want to see more of that. I hope some of this will be fixed after Solbakken is introduced into the team. Maybe if we see more of the other fullbacks who Kostas Katsourani said that on Betarades that Olympiacos right now concentrate on the wing on the fullbacks for action in the wings to cover everything they need in the wings. And I'm not much into that because that would make much more sense in a 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 formation where you actually have those fullbacks doing this job, like the Reece James kind of people. So I would like to see Olympiacos opening up in the wings, especially when Solbakken get some minutes with the team.
Absolutely. And I see exactly what you're saying there. I don't think we have anybody that's going to the game in on Thursday. Alexandros is going to be there.
Well, I was planning on talking to you guys about it, so we're going to talk about it.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Alexandros, we'll let you know if we're going to have a presence there. We'll let you know, buddy.
Cat's out of the bag.
A lineup prediction or a question about lineup prediction from
Ooh.
Nolan Lindner Fox. This will probably be the last one we get to before we do man of the match coaches grade.
Yes, please.
But do you guys think we will line up the same way versus Freiburg?
I don't think we're going to see a lot of changes. I don't think we're going to line up the same way, but I don't think we're going to see too many changes over there. I think he really likes Kini, so we're going to see Kini again. Rodinei on the other side. Pascalakis between the sticks. Retsos and Freire at center back. We're going to see Eze with Madi definitely in midfield. Fortounis should be there as well. Masuras definitely. El Kabi, I think, will spearhead the attack. I mean, makes more sense. I'm not too sure we're going to see Potenza starting. I think that's the only that's my only question mark about it. I don't know how he's going to address this approach this game, but I feel like Potenza. I'm jumping the gun a bit, but I feel like Potenza was our best player in this. But I'm not too sure how ready he is to play another big match after Ajax. I don't know. I feel like that's my only question mark heading to Freiburg, to the game against Freiburg. I mean,
I think I agree with you there. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Potenza start, just as a matter of like managing his match fitness. Costa C.
I think I won't be surprised to see Ortega start on Thursday in a home game. I think he might risk it. The thing is, hang on, because they have a Japanese player out on the wing. I think Doan. I think his name is. He's really good.
Or Doan, yeah.
He's really good.
He's
very fast. He likes to cut inside. I think he's been playing a bit more centrally for Freiburg, judging from some formation outlines that I've seen. So that's a tough one. It's like, do you match him up with someone who's equally who's fast, has got some physicality? Do you risk starting Kinney knowing that Doan likes to cut inside onto his left foot and Kinney's right-footed? I'm not sure, but I think that in all the games Olympiacos has played, at home in particular, we've always come out on the front foot. So I think he will, in that regard, playing with Ortega makes us more attacking, gives us more going forwards. So that's one question mark for me. Again, as it was today, like question mark, who's going to start left back? And Doi. I wonder if Doi starts next to Retsos.
He really likes Freire, though, doesn't he? He does.
He does.
He does rate him. He does rate him, and in all the big games, he started that partnership.
Got to have that left foot, baby.
Yeah.
Well, boys, we're hour and 10 minutes in here, so let's get to that part of the show where we do our man of the match and our coach's grade. So, who wants to go first?
I'll go first because I already spoiled it. So it was, for me, it's Daniel Potenza because He provided the assist, and also he changed the route of that match when he moved to the wing to support Kini. And also he gave Ike's defenders a lot of problems. I feel like Ike defenders' confidence rose after he came off the pitch because of all the grief he was giving them. And considering this was his first match back with Olympiacos, that was his debut, so I'm giving it to Daniel Potenses personally. And Martinez gets a B plus from me. I mean, we talked about we said everything about the subs, we said everything about the way he approached the game. I'm giving him a B plus because he didn't lose the match. He definitely cannot be in the A category for this match. It would have been awesome if Olympiacos had won that because I would have given the team a huge boost heading to against Freiburg, but he didn't lose, so I'm giving him a B plus.
Costa, see.
Starting with the coach, I was right after the game. I was thinking B minus. I'm going to end up going with a B because I think sometimes coaches need to be cynical and lock the games up. So I was a little bit frustrated with the subs in that essentially they didn't give us much attacking, and I wanted us to go out and win the game in the second half. But okay, it's early on. I'll give him a break. Like we've got a point. We're undefeated under him still. Yeah, he hasn't lost the game. So B for him. And my man of the match is well done, Hussein. I saw you commented earlier. Pascalakis is my man of the match.
Big saves. We didn't mention
Pascalakis is my man of the match. Yeah. I want to give him some serious respect. I think you guys, whoever watches the show has been watching the show long enough, knows that I was the only one that was positive about this transfer. I'm gonna keep rubbing that into you guys. I'm gonna keep rubbing that salt into the wound. Mad respect to Pascalakis. I think that he's one of the best signings we've made in the last 5 years or more. Value for money, free, and all the shit that we were reading about him. No, some people were saying no, we don't want to sign him because he played for PAOK. It's like,
that's not serious.
It's like pull your finger out your ass, mate. Like it's a good keeper. At a good age for a goalkeeper as well. And honestly, like that save on the 18th minute from that header, unbelievable save, fantastic save. That save he makes against Zuber as well, the ball's bouncing in front of him. That's a difficult save. So as much as I agree with Costa, like when Podense got on the ball, I agree with what you said when you said, when he came off, it was. It probably the Ike defenders at least were very happy to see the back of him when he went off, because I thought, I'll say something, and I don't mean to go on too long, Ari, but we all remember frustrations we had with Podense during his first spell.
Yes,
at the club, there were like moments in the game where for 20, 30 minutes you think, is he on the pitch? And I'm not saying that about today's game, because he's not match fit. It's his first game. It's his first game of the season, essentially. So I expected a bit of that. But I think we should have that wary in our minds too, about those frustrations that we had with him during his last spell. We all know what he can do. But yeah, Fortounis too. I see that if you look at the vote, if you haven't voted yet, guys, there is a man of the match vote going on. Fortounis has 62%, El Kabi has 15%, Podense has 10%, and Other has 12%. So yeah, we all love Fortu, but mad shout out to my guy Pascalakis.
And that's definitely a fair shout, especially regarding his value. I know my concern was I thought we were going to get more of his Greek league performances with PAOK and not the Conference League performances he gave for them in their quarterfinal round. That was my concern. But we're seeing it the opposite. We're seeing more of that, what he was doing towards the Conference League, like that caliber. And he's extremely confident too, which I love. I mean, so very happy about that. He is not my man of the match though, and neither is Podense. I am with Chad on this one. I'm giving it to Kostas Fortounis. I think he's already like probably my most rated MVP of like all the shows so far. It's I'll have to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure I've given him the MVP most of or man of the match most of the matches so far to start the season. And it's not necessarily unwarranted. Like when I think about man of the match, for me it's which player put us in the position to win the most. And sure, does Costa have an assist? No, he does not. Does he have any end product on the stat sheet? He does not. But for me, if you look at all of the most threatening opportunities that we had, who was behind them? Who was behind those? The crosses, the key balls in, or generating the movement to actually create the entire open play attack. There was a stat before this game today in Greece, in the games that we played in Greece so far. Which player is behind the majority of our open play attacks with XG threat? Which player is behind the attacks that generate XG? Take a guess. Well, you don't have to. It's rhetorical. It's Kostas Fortounis. So he's so important to our offensive attack this season. And it's an amazing statistic. And he's a great player. And today it was that again. In a game where we looked so poor for so long in the beginning, and then we finally start getting things together. And I don't want to say it's on the back of some of the things that he was doing, but so much of what he did led to other things. And when he left the pitch, when Podence left the pitch, we could barely keep that momentum or that possession moving. So he gets my man of the match today, despite having no end product. And as a coach's grade today, I like you, Costa C. I disagreed with the lockdown. I wanted to go for the win personally. He did what he did. He didn't lose a game, or he didn't lose the game, like Costa K said. I'm going to go with B-, which I still think is a pretty good grade overall. Considering the ebbs and flows of the match. And that's where I stand with that. Costa, man of the match, and a B- for the coach's grade. And guys, I think we pretty much touched on everything. Did anybody have anything else before we go ahead and close up?
Hit the like
We're
button.
good.
Not enough of you hit it.
There's like 50 of you and only 12 likes. That is nonsense.
Well, 50 now, but I'm pretty sure over a couple hundred people have tuned in.
Yes,
at some point
they have, and we need more likes. Come on, you guys.
The more likes we get, guys, the more we can get the channel known and get discovered. So
yeah,
doesn't cost you anything.
Let's go, guys.
Smash it.
Let's go, guys. Smash that thing.
Boys, boys and girls, because we do have more female listeners these days. Guys, don't get too excited. If you are looking out ahead, we got some fun stuff coming up. We have some more interviews, Patreon interviews coming out. We're looking to bring, for some of the pre-match shows, some fun guests. So check that out. We got a lot of fun stuff coming on. I'm also giving you guys time to hit that like button before we go ahead and log off. Do that. This is Gate 7 International, by the fans, for the fans. We're here to bring you guys the best content outside of Greece. Stats are coming. Don't forget the enhanced post-match analysis will be available to expanded content patrons. That will be available. And we are going to be looking ahead towards this match against Freiburg. It's going to be interesting. I am excited for it. I want payback. Screw these guys. The Germans. Beat their asses. I'm done. Let's do it. So anyway, I'm excited for it. Do it. I hope the team wins for me. Beat these Germans, and we will see you guys. Maybe we'll see you guys for post-match after that game on Thursday. Who knows? Pre-match, post-match. We'll let you know on social media what's going on. This is Gate 7 International, and we will see you boys next time.